Welcome back to Fair's Fair, and today I'll be reviewing Stray, a cute game about a cute cat in the not-so-cute and likely outcome of society. Rip human's heart. What do you think it feels like being dead? Well, I've worked at a grocery store before, so kinda like that, I imagine. In order to make sure I had the whole experience in decent quality, I recorded a whole playthrough in HD with 2 high-quality stereo audio tracks. The 5-hour and 15-minute results came out great. Then there was a format issue and I almost lost the whole thing. But luckily I managed to save most of it and only a few parts were corrupted. I suppose that it's also luck that in 5 hours of recording, 10 or so bits of corrupted video is a relatively small loss and missed most of the important bits. I'll be intermixing audio from my playthrough with commentary made after, mostly the latter. But before I begin, I'd like to point out that I have been carefully avoiding spoilers for this game, to make sure that my experience was fresh. I did see a few streamers play up to the transceiver placement, but I have avoided beyond that point, which means I unfortunately missed all of the streamers that I really wanted to watch play it. But just in case you don't care about the details or want to play it first, the TLDR is this. Fun little game that's cute, new, and competent, with very few glitches. A bit light on content, and rather light on gameplay, but the stuff it has is good and it's inexpensive. Well worth a few replays. But for those of you who want the meat, let's section it up. We'll start with the mechanical aspects of a game. Firstly, graphics. The graphics are adequate for the game. That's about it on graphics. They're nice. Look close up and you'll see some non-tangible items and some weird clipping through on some of the foliage, but I didn't see any failed textures or unloaded items like I quickly found in Cyberpunk. Don't rush your games, folks. And quite frankly, high detail wouldn't have made it a good game. You can render every pore on the face into a reflection of a drop of ball sweat and your game can still be shit. Art direction is definitely more important than graphics. I'm not taking arguments on this one. Trust me, it is. And they have that in this game. The world is cluttered with varying designs that still fit in the same world, with the harshest difference being the upper management system level that quite appropriately feels like a different world. Its distinct, clean look is appropriate in the context of the story, though I did find one display-based glitch that was a tad odd. That seems like a glitch. I don't think this is supposed to happen. This is the guy you can trip. Not game-breaking by any means, and in all my playthroughs, this was the only graphics glitch that I found. So all around, a good sign for the graphics department. Moving on to movement and boundaries, this game absolutely encourages you to explore vertically and think in 3 dimensions. Especially if you want to be decked out with all 6 badges and the sick chrome vest, so your cat can look cool like mine. It doesn't do anything except let people know how much better you are than them. There's also running sections that are nice and clear as to where you're supposed to go. The acrobatics themselves are a tad jerky, and it's sometimes hard to get the game to recognize what you're trying to jump to when there are a lot of options. It also sticks you to your platform, so despite there being a lot of jumping around, there is no way to fuck up the platforming like I do everything else in my life. You can't walk off a pipe, and there are some basic parts of the ground that just aren't a real surface that you can walk on. Bafflingly, there are also pipes that you are locked in the center of while inside of them, which makes me think that they don't have either an animation for or a reliable hitbox for a rounded floor. I cannot... Wait. Oh my god, there's no slant physics, so I can't actually walk back and forth in this pipe. But the jumping is very cat-like and a vital part of exploring for both the extras and for parts of the story. It should be, as they studied several real cats to get the behavior just right. That and the multiple paths available makes the speedrunning options interesting, something that they were acutely aware of and encouraged with an achievement for completing the game in under 2 hours, which is an achievement that they never tell you must be done from a clean save file. You cannot select the first chapter and play through on a completed save file. Probably should have put that somewhere. But anyway, it's good that the game is short though, as you'll quickly find that between the major rest areas, the walls are very narrow. Computer barriers and a lack of viable places to jump keep you moving to the next middle area. This resulted in the secret areas between the explorable safe zones being a tad obvious, as there's usually only one path. So if there's more than one direction, then there's a secret and the right way. Is this the right way, or... That's the right way. Which means this is the way with the memory. Yep, here it is. Unfortunately, it's an almost unavoidable side effect of not being an open world game that doesn't want you to get lost. The rest areas are much better at hiding things because you can actually explore them. Movement is well incorporated into the story and secret direction, taking advantage of your small size and agility over the companions. The boundaries that I didn't cover in the movement section are the walls of the games, mostly well enforced due to how the jumping works. Even to the point of being restrictive, but something is definitely wrong with the spawning system for the Zerks that come out of the eggs. This is a bit of an issue for the eggs on the wall, and resulted in most of those Zerks getting stuck in the wall in every single playthrough. There appears to be a problem with these ones. Namely, they are inside the wall. Which sucks because they were already kind of easy. Come on. You can do it. Oh, you can't do it. These are the things that destroyed all of civilization. Now, how are you trapped in here? You can eat metal. How you guys doing? Still trapped in the wall? Yeah, there you go. Who's a good little Zerk? Who's a good little Zerk? You are. How is it trapped in the wall? It's good in there, isn't it? But that might just be my overwhelming natural gaming skill and humility making it feel easier. Still in the mechanics, let's talk about stability. It never once crashed on me. I did get a light drop in a few areas that may have been a hidden loading point in a few places, but that might also be the issues with my recording that I didn't notice until after and almost cost me the whole file. That's not the game's problem. What was a game problem was a glitch I encountered in one playthrough only, but by sheer bad luck, it was my first playthrough. After finding the ant village and interacting with the pod, there was a short part where B12 stops interacting. Why can't I meet these people? Oh, it's because I don't have my translator. After the point where he was supposed to start again, he didn't. This means I couldn't talk to anyone, couldn't check the memory page, and couldn't complete the side quest. Since there was dialogue telling me he needed time to process, I didn't know it was a glitch until after I passed the next point of no return. So I missed all the content in Ant Village on my first run, and I didn't get him back until much later. Can I talk to you or no? Fuck, you won't let me speak to him. Oh, you had a family! I mean, they're probably dead now, but, like, it was nice that you had one. Oh my god, I have to go back to get that fucking piece of memory. I want that piece of memory. We're going back. I can't go back. It won't let me go back. Oh my god, it restricted me so I couldn't even use him. And now it won't let me go back. That's so annoying. That is the most annoying thing to happen in this entire game. Though I did get to see what was arguably my favorite part of Ant Village. I would say I'm sorry, but I'm really not. 10 out of 10, best game. And if you wait, they set it back up and you can ruin their game again. Oh, they reset it. Oh, how unfortunate for them. Oh, I'm a bad person. Why can't I meet these people? Best game ever, 10 out of 10. There's also one spot with wonky space-time manipulation going on, because on the train from here to here, I seem to have gained several thousand feet of altitude. But that's at least believable. I'd have to look much closer, but most of the distance you travel seems to be accurate to the city you see at the end. If that's true, then a lot of care went into the game, though measuring that would be more of a detailed breakdown where I check every little thing. Like minor corner cuts of not animating this Zerk going anywhere. It just vanishes. Though before you say I'm criticizing it for a Zerk magician, corner cutting is an art. It saves resources on the PC and production time. Also, production team sanity. Corner cutting for resources is even part of optimization sometimes. Finding out where and when you can spare some frames, stop animating something, not render something, or where to hide your loading rather than attempt a seamless transition is one of the hardest things to do in media design. One they did quite well here, and I only saw a few. Like how the Zerk eggs monodirectional spawn put half of them inside of the wall. The Zerk's not animating when there's no reason to think that someone would be straining to get to them super quick is fine. They have no walking animation, they just slide. Though the addition of a pipe that they could have gone through was a nice touch. I feel like this is a glitch. I probably shouldn't be able to get this fast in here. On the other hand, I've never checked the rotational speed of a cat in a bucket, so I might be wrong on this. Overall, it's considerably more stable than my average mental state, but one glitch was a tad annoying. I didn't want to research beyond the game until I beat it once, but if any of you get the same one, restarting the chapters should fix that glitch. Let's move on to the story. So let's synopsisize. Let's explain the story. You start as a cat outside the wall with a cat family. There's an inciting incident that separates you from your kitty crew, so you are motivated to explore your current surroundings and potentially find your way back. And we can't ignore the fact that it's an adorable cat. It's easy to get invested in it emotionally. Once inside the city, you find the Zerks. At first they run because there's only 2 or 3 of them, then you encounter about 200 or 300 of them. This is your first running segment, and the segments are usually fast and very clear as to where you're supposed to go and give you a good feeling of fear. Though you can usually swerve a few times and the enemies will miss. Once you get that down, you'll skate by these parts pretty easily. Though you will have to accept something about the cat. This is where we're going to have to accept a little bit of suspension of disbelief. Because cats have to be able to interpret language and smart enough to solve problems in this game. But we're going to assume they've evolved heavily over the years. You scamper into a flat.
Stop right there, you tea-sucking son of a bitch!
You enter the apartment and find an AI that had been guiding you with signs. He's trapped in the computer and needs a body, and I immediately had theories. Now here's where we get an interesting bit of story development, because I saw this on a stream and my first thought was... yeah, okay, so the robots are people. Look at him. He's wired up to this pod, which is tall and person-shaped. And also leaking liquid. So I have no idea what the end of this story is, but I'm willing to bet that either the memories of people or their entire consciousness were transferred into the robot bodies. Except that guy. Rip in pieces. And this consciousness wasn't properly transferred. It was stuck in these computers somehow from this room. Just a hypothesis, but if I'm right, that's really good visual storytelling because you might not get that your first watch through. See, trapped in the electronic network for so long and his memory has been corrupted. That's why I think all of the people here are in fact people. They're not just robots. They say the humans left, but I'm pretty sure they've just lost or overridden the memories of when they were people. That or they never were people, and they're actually the memories from people. Who knows? Fun fact, I was right! Anyway, his memory is borked due to a failed upload and long time in the network, so you put him in a small drone that is insanely powerful despite its size. There's also a side quest to find all of his other memories that will help flesh out the world and gain insight into the history of how things got to where they were, which is a pretty interactive way of world building. You can also replay chapters to get the ones that you missed. You head off to the slums. The slums are inhabited by companions. Robotic companions that have become sentient. Maybe. We'll touch on that later. They don't all seem to remember cats and haven't been outside, so they tell you to talk to someone who might know how to get there. You talk to Momo, who tells you of his friends, the Outsiders, a group who want to get outside at any cost. He had apparently given up, but when you get his friend's journals that he apparently never went to get in the many years since they left, he has renewed vigor to at least help you get out, and you become an honorary outsider. You place a transceiver so that you can talk to the upper levels, because society, even at the end of the human race, still has classism. Psst, hey Ryan, this is how you put a political message in. Natural, not pushy, and it's a part of the world. Whether you agree with the message or not, it's a viable part of the story. Anyway, you learn of a weapon that kills Zerks that one of them made, but he got lost outside. So you track him down with some help of his son. Son? Don't worry, we'll touch that later too. The topic. We will not be touching his son. Partly because I think him and his dad are stupid. Bitch, you lived here your whole life and you never found a secret room? Could it have anything to do with that one section of your wall that's a completely different color from everything else? Kind of door-shaped? Oh hey, a keypad. What a surprise. You didn't wonder why your father kept 4 stopped clocks on the wall? Why on earth did your father keep a weapon like this a secret? It doesn't affect you, and it only stops incredibly powerful creatures that are ending your life as you know it. Like, who... was he worried about copyright infringement? You guys use fucking energy drink cans as money. Why was any of this hidden? Anything else in here? Your dad have some nukes or, like, a Gundam or something you didn't know about? Normally I wouldn't ask, but I feel like you really could miss that. But you find his dad pretending to sleep despite being a robot for some reason. His dad outfits B12 with a less powerful anti-Zerk beam, and you help him get home. After that, you take the sewers to get to the upper levels. Now outfitted with your laser of death, the Zerks shouldn't be a huge problem. You learn through one of the memories that the Zerks were a bacteria designed to eat trash in the slums. Not counting this idiot. But they then mutated into a hive creature and eventually learned to eat anything. This, by default, puts him back on the menu. By the way, fun fact about the idea of using bacteria to eat away trash, we're currently doing that in real life today. I'm sure it'll be fine. They're a cool threat that gets more disturbing as you move on. Oh. Oh, that's rather unsettling. Oh, I don't like that at all. Then your weapon burns out in a cutscene followed by a short chase. Which is fine, I guess, since you never see the Zerks again for the whole game. No, really. Though you do get to see the little ones dying in the sunlight at the end, but since the sun and the weapon don't work on the structural parts, they adapt, and most of them are underground, I guess opening the city might have ended the world again. Hopefully the companions and their new leaders, the cats, will be able to stop them. On one hand, it feels like a lot of build-up for an enemy that we never come back to. On the other hand, it would emphasize the separation of the classes, how moving up one class can completely change what is and is not a major problem. The lower class has limited power, so they can't mass-produce the weapon. The upper class doesn't have that issue, but they do have an oppressive corporate police force. Both issues are portrayed as easily solvable from the top level of society, yet aren't because the top level saw themselves as above it all. With the final solution being the desire and need to get freedom by escaping the literal confines of the social and literal structure built long ago. Though this all gets a bit interpretive, I do think there's an argument to be made that leaving the Zerks behind as you move up served a narrative purpose to help create the theme. After all, once you get to the control room, there actually isn't any threat to you. Though let's not get too deep here. But from that point on, we have taser sentinels, stealth, exploration, and some simple puzzles to look forward to. Stopping by an ant village, you find another pod that the humans use to try and save themselves. Then B12 has a realization. Called it. Though this raises an interesting question. B12 refers to himself as the last human and says he sees the future of the human race in the companions and you, the cat. Yet there is more than one pod, and all the companions have become sentient, and they feel compelled to do things that humans do. They wear clothes, but, you know, maybe that's about customization? One of them says it feels compelled to pet you, but won't because he doesn't understand why. And these two have a father-son relation. They make bars and barbershops. You could bring up the times that the memories suggest that the companions evolved their code, but I think the humans aren't dead. The wires seem to suggest that B12 was trying to upload himself into the companion bot. I don't think the companions evolved their code at all. Even with that one book about doing just that, I think the humans uploaded themselves to escape the Zerks and the plague. The best evidence for that is the companions at the control room. The final level. Despite existing just like the others, they are just droids. No thoughts. Hundreds or thousands of years, and they just kept the place running as they were programmed. Why didn't the ones in the control room get slapped with the emotion stick? Though a single dialogue tells you that your princess is in another castle. There's other things to do at Ant Village, but the badge quest and the memory aren't required. Overall, the Ant Village feels a tad underwhelming. It does have one of the best parts of the game, though. I could ruin their game for hours and it would still be funny. I think I really get cats now. But all you really need to do is get this memory from the people pod and talk to the guy and walk out. With points of no return before and after, the Ant Village is a lightly used rest stop. And I'll take the opportunity to talk about this. The game has a lot of vertical exploration, but it's very linear. If there was ever a concept that could use another game in its world, or a bigger budget, it's this game. I'd love to see more interconnectivity, more side quests, more tied off loose ends, less restrictions on the devs that cause the Zerk spawn issues, and the lack of round pipe interiors. More ways to torment the lesser beings who dare have thumbs before cats do. Fuck you. Oh. Sorry. Oh. I'm so sorry. Well, okay, I'm not. I was reading the sign. Really, you weren't looking where you were going. That was kind of your fault. Really? That one's all on you. Fuck you. Suck it! Oh hey, you're awake. How nice. Or even just more challenge stealth or running maps, puzzle maps, whatever. After leaving the Zerks behind, the game speeds up a bit. You get up top to find Clementine. You find her and get the info you need. To get outside, you need to take the trains. The train needs the super battery in the factory to power it. So you get inside the factory, completely cripple the local economy and infrastructure of the authoritarian corporation, funnily enough named Neko. You see, Neko means cat in Japanese. Not sure what that means. Also, did you know that if you try and type in Japanese in Vegas, it crashes spectacularly? Because I know that. Now. You get betrayed and then arrested immediately after getting the battery. Alcatraz. Fucking achievements. Then you break Clem out and she's super underappreciating of what you did. Now pet me. I did a good job. Pet me. Excuse me? I did a good job. Hello? You're really not gonna pet me? I got you out of jail! Jail! You're a bitch. Then you get B12 out. Luckily, you got to keep your fusion battery that you stole while in prison, and Clementine had the train keys the whole time too. Guess security is a bit lax there. Or maybe they couldn't get the digitized stuff out of B12? But that's not said, so I'm not writing the game for them. You get out and Clementine leads the Sentinels away so that you can get out of the city proper. And I have to mention this though, the stealth sections are a lot of fun. Too bad that the factory and the prison are the only ones of those. Then you arrive in the upper control room. Everything is clean, it's downright eerie. You get the final memory in the main control room. Then you open the main door and the whole city, at great cost. And finally, you go outside, with one last flicker to suggest that life remains. Now let's sum up this review. So I fully believe that a cat would be better than the companions against the Zerks. They're slower and less agile than you are. Though both the Zerks and the Sentinels seem to be a tad light in problem-solving skills, maybe that'll be why they'll be fine with the remaining Zerks now that the city's open. Even if the Sentinels watched you jump into the box and were right next to you, they will instantly lose track of you once you're inside the box. But while not all loose ends were tied up, the story takes you on a journey from your free life into a ruined world with only the desire to get back. It utilizes the time it has to get you attached to characters quite well and has decent motivations for their simple interactions. Your goals and theirs align and you become a part of a much bigger goal via a natural shared desire. After achieving a relatively narrow-focused goal, you can look back at how such a simple desire has changed their world forever, and you're having learned of the world long past that you helped fix a remnant of. Even just skimming through, you will still get the gist of the world, even if you find none of the extras. I'm not sure how you'd miss them all, but it could happen. On the other hand, it's a pretty good story with functional mechanics and a reason to play twice. As you advance upward, more things are working. Neon that was broken below works above. A dark world is lit up with colorful lights. The tiny cars that were just map parts below are part of a functioning society above. There's a look around button, not just for finding platforms, but to see the stunning visuals of the world. Small places to lay down as the camera zooms out to show the comfy scene you've come to rest at. Sit and listen to the musician, see the fishing spot of a robot long past, and think about B12's offer to retire by a lake with lots of books after this is all over if you get outside. God, if that's not a fucking flag. Lay down and feel the cool air of the ant village while the camera zooms out to show you the whole of the environment you're climbing. Sit by the gramophone and look out at the city window. Look at the graffiti, experience the world at whatever rate you want, and there will still be something for you to find. Visual storytelling, my friends. A beautiful game that left me wanting more, but sometimes wanting more is the best ending. Trying to hammer out all your questions could draw the end out to the point where it loses its impact. And things like my question of the companion's evolution are likely lost to time anyway. Since they've shown the ability to lose or corrupt memories over time, there's really no way of knowing at what point they gain sentience. But the game as a whole is a project that had a lot of care put into its making, and that showed in the story and world building. A job well done by everyone involved in its creation, including the many cats that helped get the behavior right. They were even listed in the credits, along with some dogs. Not sure what they did, but I'm pretty sure they did it well. I hope you enjoyed the balance so far because there are some overall critiques that I just couldn't shake. 1, the flashlight existed for all of one level, so it doesn't really count as a mechanic. It was more of a gimmick. 2, the least emotive character in the game is you. You're a cat, and there really isn't any emotion shown by your character. We never even really learn if you care about the fact that you didn't get back to your cat family. You just kinda seem okay with it, because there's no expression. 3, other than cosmetics and your own curiosity, there's no reason to do much beyond the story. And 4, the stealth and running bits are the most gameplay-intensive parts and make up a shockingly small portion of the actual game. If I could have just one thing, it's more of the stealthy and running bits. A bit more gameplay in my game, please. Oh yeah, and 5, the story has a few small holes that I went over. Not just the fact that even the companions that do know what a cat is immediately trust one with the future of their world, despite that you can't trust a cat alone in the same house as a goldfish. And if you do, then what inevitably happens is no one's fault but your own. Though number 4 is a big issue. A lack of gameplay is no small critique for a game. There was a lot of passion put into this game, but it was not evenly distributed. Almost everything I praised highly was completely removed from the playing of the game. If they scrapped Ant Village in exchange for more time with the Zerks now that your weapon is down and more stealth sections, I'd be kinder. But despite running, puzzles, and stealth being the major parts of the game that you play, the ones that aren't wandering around and pressing a button, there's not many of them. There's about 1 running part per chapter, 1 or 2 micro puzzles every chapter, and about 2.5 stealth levels in total. Other than that, it's just walking around a completely safe environment looking for collectables, the hardest to find of which was the music sheets, which goes away the second you leave the slums. I love this game and will be going back to get the rest of the achievements. The world is cool, the world building is nice, the visuals are stunning, but it would be downright disingenuous not to mention these very notable and valid reasons to dislike it. So let me know, will you be playing this game? Did you? Did you like it? I can understand it might not be someone's cup of tea, but do you think I've missed a criticism? Like, share, follow, subscribe, answer in the comments. Do that and you may be spared when cats take over. But if you think this is actually a bad game, did you forget that there's a dedicated meow button that works during cutscenes? Though if you seriously thought the game was absolute trash, I guess cat haters can feel free to go down to the comments to be entertainingly angry. Listen, I'm a friend. That's what always happens when I interact with people. Is it 'cause I'm a VTuber? It's probably 'cause I'm a VTuber.